Hello everybody, so here we are again. As you can see, it's just another IFR day here at the airport. So I won't be doing any flying today. So you want to get started on how to be a pilot. Here's 10 things I can think of to get you started. It's not cheap, so be prepared to spend quite a bit of money, especially nowadays. And the thing I can recommend is fly as often as you can, at least 1 to 2 times a week, every week. If not, you'll be like me and have to refresh a lot, and all that refreshing is just more money spent when you already know the stuff. But if you don't fly often, you'll forget it and you'll have to refresh. Trust me, it's a pain. Fly 1 to 2 days a week at least, I'd say 2. But here's 10 things that I can think of to get started flying. First thing is locate a flight school in your area. Do a search online, check the different airports that are near you and check the flight schools. I went to 2 different ones. I started here at the main airport. I went to a smaller airport because it was cheaper. Ended up the planes were older and didn't have as good equipment, and it was a non-towered field, which is fine, but I like working with a tower. You get tower experience, radio experience right at the start. But just search flight schools in your area. You never know what you can find. The second thing I can think of is take a tour and choose a school that's best for you. Go to those flight schools at the airports. Talk to the chief instructor. Talk to the owners. The flight instructors. Just introduce yourself. Tell them what kind of flight training you're looking for and what do they have to offer. Third one is talk to your instructor and share your goals. If you're interested in becoming a professional pilot, or if you're like me and just fly privately. I can't really do professional because of my color vision issue. I get one chance to fix that, and I haven't done it yet. So if I take that test and fail, then I'll be permanent, no night flying, which is okay. But if I flew commercially, that would be probably some nights, and it's not going to benefit me to pursue a commercial license for a day flight only. Just share your goals with the flight instructors. Tell them, hey, I want to be a private pilot. I want to eventually get an instrument rating so I can fly like days like today where it's IFR and very low ceilings and sucks because I can't go fly because I don't have my instrument rating yet because I'm working towards it. But talk to them, let them know what you think. They'll work with you, trust me. I've flown with many different flight instructors, and the one that I currently use now for my instrument training is incredible. The guy explains it really well to me to where I can understand it easily instead of having to go up and over and over and over and over doing the same thing because it's hard for me to understand. Take your first flight lesson. A lot of these flight schools offer an introductory lesson at a lower price. It still counts. It goes in a logbook. It counts as flight training. It's fun. It's safe. Go take that introductory lesson. If the flight school has a website, look it up. You can usually print off a receipt or some kind of a discount coupon or something, and they want to get you in there. They want to get you learning and teach you. Then you got to purchase a home study course. When I started, it was all on DVDs of books, but nowadays you get like a small box. If you do a Cessna flight school, you get an E6B, which is like a manual flight computer, starting logbook, and then you get the code to enter for the online training. But which is nice about that is nowadays you can do the online training. You can log in on a computer, an iPad, some of these bigger phones. You log in on a desktop, a laptop. You can take it with you, and when you travel, you can do it part of the course. It's real convenient. And they have a lot of other links in these online courses where you can go check out the rules and regulations, links to maybe forms you need to download and print out, like flight planning forms or something like that. It's all there, so it's really easy to deal with, and training is laid out really well. It's easy to understand. You can just play it over and over and over, and it's not that issue. Number 6, I'd say, is decide whether you'll pursue the sport, recreational, or private certificate. I went private. Sport you don't have to have a medical for, but you're limited to the kind of plane you can fly and times you can fly. Recreational, you get to fly a little bit more of a bigger plane, but you're still limited to where you can go and times of day and how much you can carry and horsepower and things like that. Private pilot, you can basically fly about anything that doesn't need a type rating. You'll still have to get like a multi-engine endorsement if you want to fly with 2 engines. High performance if you want to fly with 201 horsepower or more. Complex if you want to fly one that have the wheels that go up and the controllable pitch prop and all that stuff. Flaps. There's things that require endorsements, but most don't. A private pilot, you know, you can fly a plane with up to 200 horsepower. You carry whoever you want to carry with you. That's what I have. I love it. This plane has 200 horsepower, so it's 1 horsepower less than what a high performance requires. So it's no problem for me. Take the FAA medical exam with the AME, Aviation Medical Examiner. You can look it up online and find out where they're at. There's one where I am. There's also another one that's 3 hours away. And personally, I go to the guy that's 3 hours away just because he's nicer to me. But you want to do that pretty soon, because if you're not going to be able to pass the medical, then you don't really want to spend a lot of money doing this training. But there's a lot of ways you can pass the medical. Like you don't have to be perfect health. You don't have to have perfect vision. I don't. You know, you just got to have. There's certain things that are automatic disqualifiers. You can find those online on the FAA's website. But I've not known anybody to actually get disqualified for it that has tried. But you got to have it before you solo. So get that medical done before you solo, because you can't solo without it. Pass your FAA knowledge test. This is the written test that is done on a computer. All right. You get 2 hours to do this test. It's 60 questions. When I took it a while back, I was nervous as heck. Like I studied. It's so much to study, like the books. I got a lot of books, the online training, and they narrow it down to 60 questions. It's from a pool of like, I don't know, 800 questions or something like that. And you get 60 of them. 60 I had are pretty easy. So you get 2 hours to do this test. I did it in like 45 minutes. And I went back and went over everything, made sure I answered everything. I'd go with the first answer I put down. I never changed the answer. Go with your gut. But I just made sure that I had everyone answered. You know, then I submitted it. Ended up getting a 96 or 4 or something. I missed 4 questions out of 60. So that was pretty good. I was really impressed. It was easier than I thought it was. They give you some things to help you out in the workbook and things like that to do these written tests. They're not as hard as you think. Don't overthink it. Don't let it scare you. Just go in there confident, study, you'll pass. Pass the check ride and the flight test. So this contained 2 things. Had the oral exam, which I was nervous about, because it could be anything you've gone over on all this tests or all your training. My oral took like an hour and a half. Like 30 minutes of it was get all the paperwork ready for the FAA. You can refer to your books and stuff. They kind of don't want you to, but you can. So bring all your books, notes, checklists. Bring it with you on this. You can use it on the oral. You can't use it on the written test. That's in closed book. You got to do it all off your memory. But the oral is easy to do. So you pass the oral. You go up with the DPE, a designated pilot examiner from the FAA. This at my flight school was the chief examiner, but he was not operating as a flight school employee. He was operating as an FAA employee at that time. You go up. It's a pretty in-depth test. Like you go up, you start flying, and boom, right from the start, you're doing maneuvers, testing things. But they don't really ask you a lot like they did in the oral. It's strictly focused on the flying part. But pay attention to your cloud clearances, pay attention to the radio, know your maneuvers, know what speeds you need to start them at. Do clearing turns before every maneuver. They're going to look for that. Clearing turns it's for safety. Do those clearing turns, practice your maneuvers. If you're in a high wing, make sure you lift the wing before you start your maneuver too. But, you know, maneuvers, and came back and did my touch and goes and different styles of landings and takeoffs. I landed, and the instructor pretty much was like, if you can taxi us back to the parking area, you know, you're a private pilot. You know, and that's what it hit me. You know, and I didn't really say much at the time because I was just kind of at a loss for words. But, you know, you get there, you know, you tie the plane down, and you go. So you finish up, you go inside, they go over everything with you that you just went through, gives you a lot of advice, just answers any questions you got. And then you fill out the forms, you do some signing on paperwork, you get your paper pilot certificate, the temporary one till the actual one comes in the mail, and then you're a pilot. It's not that hard. It takes a lot of time. I don't know anyone that's gotten it in the 40-hour minimum. It took me like 98 hours to get it or something like that. Just like I said before, you know, you got to do a lot of refreshing, and for me that kicked my butt. Took some years to get it done, but I got it done. It's worth every penny, even with the amount I've had to spend in refreshing. And the last thing I can think of is just number 10 is have fun. You know, you're a pilot now. Go out there and fly. You know, you didn't just spend all this money on it to get the certificate and then not fly. You know, luckily for me, I've got a plane that I can fly anytime I want, as long as the weather's good. But you know, most flight schools, once you get your certificate from them, you can rent from them immediately. You know, as a private pilot, clearly you've checked out in the plane because you've done your training in it. You've went up the instructors, they've run you through the paces. You know the maneuvers. You know the plane. You know what it can do. Its speeds, its requirements. You know, go rent it. You know, it's not going to be as much because you're not paying for an instructor. You're just paying a rental fee. You know, at the airport I'm at here, I think they're like $165 an hour for a 172. I'm not sure, but you know, I've got this SR20, so I just fly it. But you know, go out there, enjoy yourself, fly around. It's different without an instructor. It's all on you. You know, you got to make all the decisions. You know, you're the pilot in command now. You know, go out there and have fun. I promise you, it's worth it. Thank you. If you got any questions or comments, leave them down below. This is just 10 things I can think of to get started to be a pilot. Thank you.